Hello, today we are here to discuss Darwin's Journey. This is the collector's edition Kickstarter that just came in this week. So before we get into it though, make sure you hit the subscribe button down there and the notification bell so you can follow along as we review more Kickstarters releases or new releases or old stuff. We got lots of old stuff to go through. So, Rob, what can you tell us about this?
All right. So, as Randy said, it's a 2023 release. So it just came in. Overall rank is 1,312 on Board Game Geek.
That's not bad.
No, it's not bad at all. Rated at an 8.2. Plays 1 to 4 in about 60 to 120 minutes. Ages 14 and up. I completely agree with that. Designed by Simone Luciani, and Nestoria Mangone. Art by Paolo Voto. Published by Thunderglyph Games. Just released on Kickstarter, like we said, so no idea on retail price yet. But Board Game Geek, it had a wide range of prices going from $215 to $325. Wow. And just the collector's set with some of the add-ons that I could find, because Randy's got these mats and I couldn't find the price for the mats. But basically with all the other expansion stuff, it was going to range about $99.
Yeah, and there is a lot of stuff you get with this.
There really is. We played with just the base.
Yeah. There's in the base rules, you have a lengthy solo mode. You've got the backside of all the mats and the board that comes in it that you can play with. And, it's a 3x3 board. Mm-hmm. Pretty large size one, so it's square with these two mats put together. On the back side of that, there's the Fireland expansion, which is a completely, it's like half the rulebook is that. So
wow.
It's basically playing like a scenario or an adventure style game. And then there's a ton of mini expansions. There's like 3 and there are 4 in the rulebook. Yep. And then you've got these 2 that were Kickstarter exclusives, I guess, or ones at least you have to pay a premium to get outside of Kickstarter. So just a ton of ways to play this game. As far as the quality of components, though, we're going to be looking at what's in the collector's edition. Correct. And what came with the Kickstarter. Obviously, the retail, when you get it, it may not. Your quality may be different. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you, there was a significant amount of the cardboard pieces that were replaced in this version, and those cardboard pieces kind of sucked. Okay. All of the little wax seals in this are kind of like a rubbery substance. Mm-hmm. In the base game, they're really thin cardboard circles. And
so it could have been damaged easily.
Yes, they were very, very small and tiny, flimsy. Not impressed. These are much cooler, but they stick together really badly. Yeah,
because you got to draw them out, as we'll talk about, and they were sticking in the bag.
Well, yeah, they're sticking to each other in the bag, so I had to pop them apart. And there's a slight problem in the sense that you can, if you were really wanting to cheat, you could, because you can feel a little texture difference in the pattern as you're drawing them out. But as far as everything, though, the cardboard itself in general is not that bad. It's pretty good thickness. It's not great, but it's
the player board cardboard is really nice because it's dual layer.
Yes,
I like that.
No. The cardboard is inlaid. It's dual layered, and it feels nice and looks nice. But there's some functionality problems with it.
That's true.
First of all, it's a super dark brown, mm-hmm. and instead of printing things in light colors on top of that, there's things that are printed in black on top of it that are hard, almost impossible to even see.
Right.
And then the inlays are really very thin. So, like, some of the things stack on top of it, and it defeats the whole purpose of the inlay.
The stamps.
The stamps in particular, yeah. It didn't hinder its use too badly, but it was kind of annoying. The maps,
they didn't bother me, but
the play mats curl pretty bad. But that's from just being new, I think, because they come in a really cool it looks like a tube that looks like a map holder. And
I'd say that's probably my biggest complaint over the quality of the components is, it's nice having neoprene. But I don't think every game needs neoprene. I think it's getting a little old. But more importantly to me, I think the colors are a little bit more muted on the neoprene than what I saw on the cardboard. of the trifold board. I thought that looked a little bit more vibrant. It popped a little bit better. Whereas this one, it like, for example, one of the places on the board is these different animals and species that you're researching, and it's got the color and it's got an icon, which is great, but the creature or the item itself is muted, and it's bare. It looks like a fog of war or type of where you can't see it through the mist. Yeah. And it's very difficult, to make sure you're matching the animal to the right spot. So, yeah. But that's my really only complaint.
So, and some of the woodwork is screen printed, some of it's not. None of the workers are screen printed, but like the boats are. Some of the not these boats, but like the Beagle is, and the pirate ship is. And
then there were some expansion pieces that had some neat screen printing on them, but we didn't use those.
Right, not in the base game. But I think the coolest piece is probably
for sure lenses. They call them the lenses.
Yeah, they had cardboard for these in the standard game, but this was the coolest upgrade. They actually even screen printed on these the edging. I thought yours was particularly cool because it's not the same screen printing. Mine just looks like it's got some gray tint on it.
Yours actually had a different color to it and a pattern. Mine are really nice.
So they look really cool. I'm a little afraid that somebody's going to press too hard and push that center out. But it looks like a very thin membrane on there, but it's pretty cool. And then, all the cardboard pieces, I thought the stamps really look cool. They're edged like a stamp.
I thought the stamps were really nice.
And the wax seals do look cool. They do. Just wish they didn't stick together as much as they do. All in all, I think they've done a really good job.
Thunderglyph is known for their board game quality. Their component quality, and I other than the muted color, I think everything else looks really good.
Yeah, and the box has the foil.
The foil,
and it really shines and pops. I'm probably going to give it 8.5. I think they tried. I think it was slightly below what I would expect for a 9. I don't think it's quite up there because of some of the fact that the sticking and the player boards being not quite as nice as I think they should be. But it's all really top notch other than those issues.
I think 8.5 is a good score because even though the colors are muted on the mats, the mats still look good. They're just not as nice as I would have liked them to be, but I don't want to knock it too much. But everything else looks great. I think it's got some good table presence. I think people would notice you playing this and would stop and say, "Hey, what are you doing?" Because that looks cool. So 8.5 is cool. I think it's a good score.
All right, so let's talk about theme. So this, you're with Darwin going and exploring the Galapagos Islands, charting and discovering lots of species of animals. So you can put them in a museum and have other people research them.
That's right.
So it's integrated into the gameplay. The whole game is based around the movement around the map of exploring the islands, finding the animals. It's a worker placement game. We didn't really point that out, but it's definitely a worker placement game, and it has very tight resources, but lots of different ways to score points, which I like.
Yeah.
As far as the theme, I think the art is pretty. I think the maps looks pretty cool for, they try to blend what you would see in the time period with the maps with kind of the functionality and the cartoonish iconography. And I think they did a good job with that. The main action board is a series of diaries where you place your workers and take actions on them, and I thought that was really clever.
It is.
And the design of how you have to pay if there's other workers anywhere on that diary.
But and I don't know, maybe because other scenarios might open it up, but I thought it was kind of odd that the diaries have these little cardboard dividers to make sure you separate like a page. Because if it's on one page, then it's something. But if it's a full diary that doesn't have it separated, then something else.
Well, that was for
makes it a little
player
different.
Count.
Okay.
So if you play with less than 4, you take the border out.
Okay.
So the whole book is one.
I just thought it was weird because it's on the mat where you got the divider, the page divider on there. So I thought it was interesting.
It's like a bookmark. They call it. But it's basically so that you have more actions that don't cost
because more people.
Yeah, because otherwise you're going to be going broke. The gameplay is definitely makes you feel like you're going on these adventures, which I thought was really well done. And I think the art is pretty good. I don't think there's anything that just wows you about the art on the game. The box was really pretty, but that's not anything is really going to wow you while you're playing the game. But just because of the pieces being above average, well above average in quality, it will attract eyes. So I'm probably going to give this one, I think, an 8. I think is where I'm at thematically on it.
Yeah, I think I could go an 8. It is an interesting mix of where you have some actions with the boat, you have some actions of you like walking on the island, and then how that relates to the main board thematically fits really well together. Mm-hmm. So that's why I like that part of it. So I think 8's a good score.
All right. So moving on to the rule book. So there is a very lengthy, intimidating rule book.
It is. I thought, this is definitely a complex game, but I thought it was going to be way more complex as you're reading that book.
Yeah. So there's the first section of the book, the going through and learning how to play the base game and then the solo game combined is 36 pages. And then you have the Fireland expansion, which starts numbering again and takes you, I guess it's not quite half the book, but it takes you to another page 12. And then there's
the mini expansions.
The mini expansions, which take you to page 6 more pages. And they renumber each one of them. So you're looking at almost a 50-page rule book.
That's pretty lengthy.
And it's pretty heavy duty. And the setup was a beast on this.
It really is.
So
it took especially opening it up for the first time. It won't be so bad in later plays, but man, opening it up for the first time took a lot of work.
Well, there was a ton to punch out. And then you had to figure out, okay, of all the things I punched out, what don't I need?
Yeah, because we're replacing the cardboard with the collector's edition stuff.
To their credit, they had a nice section in the book that said these are the things that are going to be used or replace items.
Yeah.
Problem is they had a lot of things where they mixed the expansion in with the other components, and they didn't update the book. So the quantities of the pieces didn't match.
Yeah, if it said 12, then we found 14. So something like that.
And they didn't have, they had the two, because the two sections are broken in the rule book, if you looked at the contents of one, it didn't even display the contents of the expansion. And
so there was a couple of times where we had to take some of the objectives and stuff out of the game because it was for the expansion and not the base game.
Yes. And then beyond that, there was the pictures of the map and how to set it up. They had these giant circles.
I think it took the longest more than anything is figuring out what side of the map we need to play on.
Yeah, because there's two sides of the map, and because the board is one piece, so you're going to get it right, but the two mats aren't. The board, if you'd have a 50-50 shot. But here, you had
50-50 on one, 50-50 on the other.
Right, and it showed a picture of the number or the indicator in the bottom right corner, which is not on this mat, and we got the board out and looked at both sides, and it wasn't on the board either. And it took us a while to figure out, okay, well, these are the way the boards are supposed to be. But then beyond that, the picture was like an overhead view from a distance of the board.
So it was like teeny tiny.
So, and it said to use the tokens. Well, because they mixed the expansion, the token pictures were also teeny tiny, and they didn't show you the back sides of the tokens when they were talking about what's in the game. So trying to figure out which tokens you were supposed to use.
And then figuring out the time track. It took
it's the boats, but no, it's on the back side of this. But it's part of the other game. But
the time track really threw for a loop.
Yeah, because it's like, well, what is the time track? There's nothing to label the time track. I mean, so you would have to read through the expansion.
The setup was tough.
So it was a beast to get this set up.
So what did you score then?
Well, I mean, other than that, we didn't really have problems once we got into the rules. The biggest problem I had was that they have a cheat sheet. I can't say they don't have a cheat sheet.
But it's a cheat sheet.
It's really a text version in tiny font of all the cards and all the tokens and what they do.
So there's magnifying glass symbols on the board. You need a real magnifying glass.
Yes, because the numbers on the tokens are tiny, and then you got to go and look at this book, which is slightly bigger than the token, to figure out what it does. The text in here is actually pretty good.
Right.
The bad part is all the iconography on the back is Well, it's not teeny tiny, so it is teeny tiny. It's not the problem. The problem is it doesn't have a description. It's just clearly a name of that icon. So it's really, you're going to be looking at this a lot.
Yeah.
And then you're shifting pages through because it's not all in one place.
I think really once we got started, we weren't in that rulebook at all.
Well, I think once you got the base icons, it started to make sense what the icons did, and you didn't have to reference it too much. But then there were still slight tweaks.
There's a couple
on
things,
them.
but really we weren't in it a lot.
Yeah, so I can't say it was a bad rule book, and it wasn't missing things. They went to a great depth to make sure they included everything. It just wasn't organized well. It was hard to set up because they didn't put everything together. They broke out the expansion, which I'm glad they broke out the expansion. Matter of fact, I think I would rather they had a separate rule book and had this not be a 50-page rule book. I'm probably going to give this a 7.5. I think it was decent. It wasn't bad. It just made it more complex to get in and understand how to play the game and get it set up. And, it's going to be a beast to put it away, too. The storage is almost like game trays. They're not quite game trays, but there's no description on where things go. So it's just figure it out. I think it could have been better. All right. Moving on to the gameplay. So this, like I said, is a worker placement game. So your player board, when you first get it out, you're going to get depending on how you start it out, you're going to get 3 cards, but you may either get a starter set that's predefined for you, or you have the option of drafting, taking 4 cards, drafting, and passing around, and ultimately discarding your last card. Yeah. So you end up with 3 cards. And those cards will have basically a icon in the upper right corner that tells you what wax seal colors you get and
to start the game.
To start the game out, and you assign 1 to each one of your workers. There's one that's already defaulted to a purple, which is wild, but you cannot add any additional tokens to that one. And then you have 3 other ones that have spaces for you to add more wax tokens to them, because those wax tokens are going to define where you can take actions. So they're very important to this game. I learned that way too late in the game, but yes, they were very important. But the card itself actually stays face up, and it really is an objective for you to complete during the game, where you have, if you assign 1 worker specifically the exact wax tokens that are pictured on the card, which are 5 out of 6 of your tokens that you can store. So you almost have to gear your whole game around finishing that card if that's your goal. Then you get the bonus for that card. And the bonuses are pretty nice, but I don't know if they're nice enough to justify 5 wax seals in many cases for them.
It's not just 5 wax seals. It's 5 wax seals very specific. 5 wax seals, like 2 green and 3 red. And it's like some of the actions, you may not have the 2 green or the 3 red readily available to get them. So it can be difficult to plan around those cards. I didn't try. I mean, I did a little bit, but I didn't focus on them at all.
Because they don't, at least the ones I had didn't generate victory points.
They did, none of mine did either.
I mean, indirectly, if you 8 coin, 5 coins is a victory point in the end of the game. But there's none of them that felt like they were super powerful
or anything. So to make it really advantageous.
And then beyond that, you also get 2 starter objective tokens, 1 gold and 1 silver, and there's spots at the top of your player board that give you places to play silver and gold that will give you perks throughout the game when you complete the objective, and also give you in-game scoring.
And I thought the objectives were a lot more useful than the cards.
So the thing is, you can collect more objectives, and there's spaces to go to get that. And those objectives, you can keep it, active. You can store 2 off of the board that you're currently working on. But if you get more than that, you have to actually choose a location for them. And then you're going to take up that location as an occupied space.
Potentially could lock it up until you complete it.
So you want to make sure that you arrange it in such a way that you get the ones you want, that you think you can actually complete in the spots at the time you need them. And then you get some postage stamps, which I thought were a pretty cool idea.
I thought that was a neat part of the game. I liked it a lot.
So you have like 4 postage stamps in 3 different stacks. So there's 3 stacks of 4, 12 postage stamps that you use during the game. And one of the spaces you can go to will allow you to assign those stamps to various letters. There's 3 different options.
Yeah, we said we were sending them to our moms.
Yeah. And you get a, well, I don't think my mom's going to read it.
Well, mine's not either.
Well, yeah.
But that's what we said.
All right. So you assign them to the letters, and at the end of the round, you'll get scoring if you're in the first or second position with the most stamps of that. So it's kind of a little area control aspect.
Yeah, but they were just useful things.
Yes.
They weren't like game breaking. They weren't victory points. They were like coins or a wild token or being able to move on the map. So nothing game breaking, but they were just really nice little additional actions.
Right.
That just helped you in the game.
Plus, by clearing them off of your board, you get a perk whenever you clear them
that,
off.
That part really helps out a lot.
And then you've got a section on your play mat, which is for researching the different animals. So as you go through, you get glass beads and you assign them to the animals you find.
Or species, because you got plants too.
Yes, right. Plants and animals.
Yeah.
Flora and fauna.
That's right.
Don't know much about history, but I know a little bit about biology. So you go to the various islands, and there's tokens that have been randomly dispersed where you've placed the different species out here, and you land on them. And when you land on them, you get to place a glass bead on it. And then periodically during the game, you can go to the museum as you choose and assign
like make a display or something of it. you caught a bird, you stuffed it, and put it in the museum.
Yes. So hopefully, that you just let it loose in the museum.
Oh, that's true too.
So, but when you do that, that's where you get the most bang for your money.
Absolutely.
In the game, because money can be tight,
super tight,
but that really gives you a big burst of money.
But it gives you a big burst of money and potential scoring. I mean, if you really pay attention to that part of the game, it could really pay out well.
Yes, and you work kind of collaboratively in the museum.
And that part you do,
because you're trying to collect the whole set of, which is a row of the same type of animal, whether it be a large type of species, a carnivore or a bird or a aquatic
or a flower.
Yeah, I didn't understand the aquatic having a pickaxe. I didn't really understand.
Well, it looks like a snail of some sort.
Well, yeah,
because it's a very hard shell.
You're breaking their shell.
Yeah, so you could eat them.
I thought we were displaying them in a museum. If you don't want to destroy them, so they have like mollusks.
Yeah, it's like a mollusk of some sort, but maybe just because of the hard shell. I don't know.
Well, maybe it's fossils of them.
Maybe
that's it.
Maybe that's it. That might be it.
But then you've got the actual animals, like you've got sea anemones or the different barnacles or whatever. You
got different birds
from the flora. So I don't understand if they're living animals while you're doing that, but maybe those are all dead.
Maybe you should do some research.
Yes, with a pickaxe. But yeah, so whenever you place out, it's kind of cool because you get to score coins for all the ones that have not been displayed in the column and row that you play in. And then anything that's already been identified, you get a book for it. And the books act as a multiplier at the end of the game for any completed rows in the museum. So basically the museum starts with a blank slate, but you get 2 as a base for the museum, plus each row that's completed. So you have a maximum of 6 as if you've completed every row. And then a multiplier could go up to
all the way up to 15, but potentially 16 if you unlock them there's a bonus on your board.
So you can really score a lot of points there, but everybody has that same base that they're starting with.
And you really have to get everybody involved because there's not enough actions for you to do it by enough.
Yeah, because it would be a beast to try to get 15, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
I mean, unless you did it all yourself, because that's the only way you're getting enough
books. But I don't see how you could do it because you'd have to do the other actions to be able to have a chance of doing it.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're saying there's a lot of ways to score points on your player board. There's the museum is a good opportunity for scoring points.
And then your boat and movement and human action, travel actions for both land and water could score you quite a bit of points too.
And then also, one of the things I thought was really clever on this is there's end of round scoring where the HMS Beagle, the ship from Darwin, moves along the track, and it's kind of your
It's
your round
Yeah,
marker.
yeah.
But each round there's a bonus for the space that it's occupying, and you can, if you can accumulate multiple of that bonus, you can score a lot of points.
Quite a few points.
But the thing is if you get behind the beagle, if the beagle moves and you ignore the movement of the boat, you suffer a penalty along that path for each so many spaces you're behind the beagle.
And all the way up to -5 at the very end. And that kind of hurt me.
Well, it's not just that, it's cumulative. So you have to add up all the spots, all the negatives up to that point.
Okay, that makes sense.
But the good news is you can't go below 0. So your bonus, if you get any bonus, it's subtracted from that bonus to a point of 0. You won't lose victory points. But so you want to keep up with the boat. So you've got to make sure you manage, and with 4 workers, pretty much. There's a 5th worker you can unlock. It's just you got to complete a gold objective and have 5 coin at a time. I think there's 3 times I was like, oh, I'm going to come do it, and then I'm like, no, I'm down 4 coin. I don't have 5 coin.
And then it even complicates it more because some of the spots to move that ship gets locked because it's a worker placement game.
Yeah.
And so once someone else goes there, you can't go there. There's only one spot where you can go there multiple times, but A, it costs money.
Yeah.
And B, it doesn't move that far.
Yeah. But the good news is some of the movement on the board actually has spaces you can land on.
But you have to make sure you utilize those other actions, which again, you can't focus all on one thing.
Right. And, I thought it was clever. They put in, as you move along the islands, places where you could set up camp.
Yeah.
And that lets you clear off another part of your board that gives you actions and perks along the way.
And these actions are even requirements for some of the objectives. I had an objective where I had to be so far along on the boat track in order to complete that objective.
Or the victory point track.
Or the victory point track.
Lots of different things that could come up on the objectives, but the objective tokens themselves don't give you any bonus.
Nothing. It's just where you place them on the board. Yeah.
So it's a unique system they've built. I haven't seen anything quite like this as far as taking advantage of a worker placement with all of these different ways of getting points. I thought it was very well done.
I agree.
And I like the fact that it does feel unique. The things I didn't like so much are the fact that I felt like a few of the different scoring things were way more powerful than others. And, getting your wax tokens early in this game anyway felt super powerful. Because not only do you also get the ability of having the tokens gives you more action spots to go to, and you could potentially complete your cards. But if you get 4 to 6 of them, you start unlocking bonuses for those actions at the spaces,
and they make a big difference.
Yes, those are significant differences. And then also at the end of the game, for having the 5th and 6th slots,
you get 10 points.
You get points as bonuses for those. So it just seemed like that you almost have to go and get those wax seals right away, which is something I didn't pick up on until later in the game. And unfortunately, everybody was dominating them, particularly you and Miranda.
Yeah, we had the most.
And the 2 top scores were you and Miranda.
Yeah.
I came in a pretty close second.
Pretty close third, to me.
Or third, And then Miranda was nowhere.
Yeah,
I'm not even considering her part of our game. She was in her own world.
Yeah, it wasn't fair.
But she definitely picked up on the strategy of this right away, and she was she maxed out on almost everything.
Yeah, she was missing only 1 wax seal, and she would have had that maxed out.
So, all in all, I think this is a really good game. I'm glad I backed it. I definitely am glad I got the upgraded version, because I don't think I would have enjoyed it nearly as much with all the cardboard and those little wax seals are going to get lost really easily. We didn't mention it does come with a couple bags for storage. This one's really nice for the wax seals. It's got a round bottom on it and everything.
So it sits up.
So it'll set up. Not great, but it does set up a little bit. I thought the pieces were nice. I thought the gameplay was fun and tight, and I think that it's got some unique aspects to the way that it plays that I haven't seen in other games. Because of that, I think I'm going to give it an 8.5.
So I have one complaint, and the complaint is that there's very little player interaction in between turns.
Yeah.
So when it's not my turn, I'm sitting there twiddling my thumbs. And so, but that's pretty, par for the course for these type of games.
Yeah.
So it's not that big of a deal, but it was pretty significant on some turns for some people to get their turns done, for me to be able to get to my turn. And so, and the fact that since it is a worker placement game, you can't plan too far ahead because the actions I want to do may be blocked by the time it gets to me.
That's like
Randy.
I don't know how many times you were like, that's exactly what I was going to do. That's where I was going to play this. And it's like...
So, you can't plan too far ahead because of that. So, because you can't plan ahead, you really just got to sit there and wait until it's your turn to see what options you have available to you. So, but that's my only major complaint. So, I think I'm going to go... You said an 8.5? I think I'm going 8 because of that. Because I think that this is a game that will reward multiple playthroughs, though.
Absolutely.
So, you will learn this game. You'll get a lot better at it. And I think I will learn to like it more after multiple plays, if we get to play it again.
Yeah, well, I mean, I love the flexibility in it. It's got so many different options of how to play it. I think that's going to give it a lot of longevity.
I hope so, but we don't get to play games multiple times.
Well, that's because we have to review 3,000 games before I die, and that could be any day now. We're still.
It's not 3,000. It's like 5,000 now.
No, it's only 3,012 at the moment.
No, you keep buying games, so that
number
never changes.
3,012.
So it was 3,012 like 3 years ago. So it doesn't change. But anyway, that's not the point. Yeah. I did enjoy it. Aiden, it's a solid game. I do recommend it. Score of 8 for me.
All right. So that's our thoughts on Darwin's Journey. So if you've got a chance to play this, tell us what you think of it.
Yeah. I would really like to know what you think of this game.
Yes.
And if you thought the downtime was significant in your opinion.
All right. Well, until next time, you guys keep exploring and bringing new things and releasing them into museums.
That's right.
Yeah.
Do your research.
Yeah. Not any museums around us, because I like to go to my museums and I don't want to be attacked by a vicious bird.
I don't mind if you come research me. That's fine.
Pickaxe wielding mollusk. All right.
All right. Bye.